Greetings, fellow tarot travelers. Tripping through the tetrahedral triptych of cards I shall now lay before you. I'm Tarot Torch, and now we're going to discuss Israel. This is the second video I've made on Israel, and I invite you to see the first one to get further background information. The cards I'll be using today are the CBD Tarot de Marseille. This is put out by US Games, and it's made by Dr. Yoav Ben-Dov. And if you look to the side of the deck, Dr. Ben-Dov was an Israeli citizen and was a professor at Tel Aviv University in an august position as a professor of physics, a role he gave up in order to pursue tarot and its deeper meanings. And we're thankful for Dr. Yoav Ben-Dov's work. He passed on very early in life, but his legacy he left behind will never be forgotten. He was certainly one of the greatest contributors to tarot in the world today. Israel has been hitting multiple targets with multiple sorties and missile launch strikes attacking both Hezbollah and Syrian military targets, including the international civil airport in Damascus, Beirut. Syria has threatened retaliation against Israel by attacking the Tel Aviv Ben Gurion airport, and Hezbollah assures the press their missiles are armed and can easily hit anywhere in Israel. Iran claims they will strike anywhere they deem necessary. Iran warns that any strike in Syria is an act of war against Iran. The Syrian-Iranian contingency claims that Netanyahu is striking Syria to take media heat off him for corruption charges, and that they will gladly make all of Israel their battlefield. Israel is flying with impunity over Lebanon regularly, mapping Hezbollah targets. And then there is the continuing Israeli occupation of the Golan Heights, which was won in the 1967 war that Syria wants back. This thorn in the side of Syria and recent missile attacks in Syria by Israel may be the reason for a recent missile attack launched against Israeli citizens in the ski resort area of Mount Hermon in the Golan Heights. These missiles were shot down by Israeli Iron Dome defenses before they entered Israeli airspace. The high-income earning tourist ski region of Mount Hermon was closed temporarily during this military exchange, costing Israel significant tourist dollars. Meanwhile, Iran is launching daily cyber attacks against Israel. The attacks are largely against Jerusalem's infrastructure and are generally thwarted by Israel. Besides cyber threats, Iran also issued another proclamation that it would annihilate Israel as it consolidates its power base in Syria. This threat was made by the deputy commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, Brigadier Hussein Salami, who stated that if Israel takes any action to wage a war against Iran, it would result in a counterattack that would lead to its own annihilation and the freeing of any occupied territories. He stressed that Iran's primary directive is to erase Israel off the map and to leave no land for Israel to bury its own corpses. Is Israel going to war in Syria and Lebanon with Jordan not far behind? Is the U.S. troop pullout in Syria going to cause a U.S. invasion of Iran due to Hezbollah conflicts with Israel? Will Israel be nuked? Will the prophecy of Ezekiel prove to come true with both Israel and Syria turned into a pile of rubble? Is Israel forcing U.S. involvement? Will Russia join the fray? Will Iran make good on its threats? Well, these certainly are big, big questions that could involve the entire annihilation of humanity as we know it. And when we have questions that can't be answered, or at least can't be answered easily, it's always a good idea to pull out the cards because their counsel is genuine and they will speak of some aspect that we need to hear. We don't have to make our decisions based on the tarot, but to hear what they have to say will often be very enlightening and illuminating on the topic, and in some instances will solve our problem directly. So first we garner the cards, shuffling them, and then cut them appropriately to let the right cards emerge for this reading to find out what is happening with Israel and what will happen to Israel. And is Israel acting appropriately in the world theater? Maybe it's too aggressive, or maybe not aggressive enough. These are the type of questions we would like to have counsel on. And the first card is Temperance. Well, Temperance is a very interesting card. As the name implies, in the past, which is the first position, Israel has been very temperate. I know there have been many attacks on the Golan Heights. There have been attacks into Palestine, but Israel did not go in and genocide all the people. It did not conquer Palestine and take all their land. Israel did offer an incentive to the Palestinians to help grow their economy, and they were rejected. And Israel has, in general, been very temperate towards its neighboring countries that are proposing to destroy it and want nothing to do with Israel and will have no business with them. The next card is the Ten of Cups, the card of leadership. And so we see that Israel is now in the position of leadership. It has been temperate, and you have to understand, if the roles were reversed, if Palestine had the alliance with America, the technology, the money, and the educated workforce that Israel has, wouldn't Palestine just blow Israel to smithereens? Wouldn't Iran do that, given half a chance? Israel has not done that. Israel has been very peaceful in its abidance, and yes, it has ran sorties, but it never went to conquer anyone unless there was full engagement of warfare. And then when it wins land legitimately through warfare, it keeps those lands. Other than that, Israel has not tried to create conflict, but in fact would like to have business with these Muslim countries. And now, leaving the time of temperance, Israel is being put in a position of leadership. But what is the outcome? It's the swords. The Six of Swords. Well, swords are the most military engaging of all the suits. And the Six of Swords has to do with adapting to circumstances that are beyond your control. It looks like Israel is not, even though it's in a leadership position, it doesn't look like it's out to dominate the world, to crush the defiance of Iran, and to destroy Hezbollah. It really looks, from the cards I'm seeing, that Israel is actually trying to adapt with the situation it's been given at hand in a leadership-oriented position. In other words, if missiles come from Hezbollah to Israel, Israel is not saying, well, let's genocide and annihilate Iran. Certainly, if the positions were reversed, Iran would be considering that conclusion. But what Israel is doing is very mature. It's true leadership. They're saying, well, let's adapt to this circumstance. Let's fight back, but in a reasonable, limited manner. The way that they sent the missiles that were used, that system needs to be attacked. Or that place from where the missiles were launched needs to be attacked. Or that group of military that launched the missiles needs to be attacked. But they're adapting to the circumstances and giving a reasonable response to the attack. They're not going out and genociding all Muslims. They're not bombing and nuking Mecca and Medina. They're not nuking Tehran. What Israel is doing is temperate, with wise leadership, and it is adapting to the militant circumstances that surround it, standing its ground and fighting back, but trying to adapt to the situation. Certainly, Israel does not want war at its borders. It would like peace. As I've said, in the past, Israel has shown a willingness to garner and grow the Palestinian economy. It's the Palestinians who want nothing to do with the Israelis. And one of the reasons why the Muslims don't want anything to do with the Israelis is, I believe it's written in the Quran, although I could be mistaken, and certainly you can leave a text at this website for this video. But if it's not there in the Quran, it's in the Hadith, where I believe it was Muhammad who said, the Prophet of Islam, that the Jews must be eradicated. And a similar line occurs in the writings of Karl Marx, where he wrote an article called The Jewish Problem, which Hitler took to heart. And that is why both the communists and the Muslims, or the Russians and the Syrians, seem to come together with the singular intention of eradicating Israel and the Jews. Because there are two sets of literature that speak to this ends. And it is an ends that is, by definition, racist. And it is xenophobic. And it singles out a single race on earth and seeks their genocide and complete destruction. And most people will argue that that in of itself is wrong to do. Not that Muhammad is wrong, and not that communism or Karl Marx is wrong, but that to single out a singular race for destruction is wrong. And it's a wrongful thing to do. Every racial group is composed of individuals. There are good people, there are bad people. There are worthy people, there are unworthy people. Everybody should be judged as individuals. And what the nation of Israel is trying to do is trying to accommodate the very dangerous situation it's been put in. I would say these cards are speaking of an angelic presence, because you have to understand the Temperance card is the great angel in the tarot deck. It is the greatest angel of compassion, of wisdom, and of illumination. And the great angel of temperance, the greatest angel of the tarot deck, is here on the side of Israel with the position of leadership, and yet the outcome is not conquest, but adaptation. And I think this speaks very highly for the nation of Israel.